Hi, I'm Ian Pryor. I founded the Expat Advisory Group back in 2008 at IPP, and I've been investing for nearly 2 decades. With that experience, I've seen bull markets, I've seen bear markets. I've gone through whole business cycles, and with that, obviously gained very valuable insights and experience that I can then help clients on their own financial journeys.
Hi, I'm Elena Pryor. I'm also from IPP, and I've been in the financial service industry for over 8 years now. I'm very passionate about demystifying investing and making financial planning accessible to all. So today, Ian and I will be discussing the web's most searched questions on the Supplementary Retirement Scheme.
Yeah, so the Supplementary Retirement Scheme, or SRS, as it's often referred to. Maybe we can start there. Elena, perhaps you can just tell us a bit about what it actually is?
100%. So the Supplementary Retirement Scheme is a voluntary retirement scheme designed by the Singapore government to encourage Singapore citizens and Singapore permanent residents to save over and above the CPF scheme. However, foreigners can actually also participate in this retirement scheme. It's just the annual contribution limits are different for the two. So the annual contribution limit for a foreigner is $35,700, and for a Singapore permanent resident, like yourself, Ian, actually, it's $15,300 per annum. Also, you do need to be 18 as well to participate in SRS.
Okay, got it. So I've seen online that you've often mentioned, Elena, that maybe you should start with just $1 into SRS and as soon as possible. Maybe you could explain, why and what are the reasons for that?
Yes, so by putting in that first dollar into your SRS, what you're ultimately doing by doing that is doing your first contribution. And what that does is it locks the statutory retirement age, which is currently 63. And they've already officially announced that they'll increase it to 64 by 2026 and 65 by 2030. So definitely the age will increase. So that's why it's really important. If you open that SRS account, just put $1 in, lock that statutory retirement age, because that's the age when you can start taking penalty-free withdrawals.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, all around the world, pension ages are constantly going up, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, even if you're not going to invest the full amount, just do $1 as soon as possible.
Exactly.
Got it. So what are the actual benefits of SRS, and what about when it does come to actually taking the money out? What happens then?
So the main benefit around SRS is the tax savings. With every dollar you put into SRS, is counted towards your income tax relief for that year of assessment. So straight away, that's an amazing benefit on top of just saving for your retirement. Now, there are rules around withdrawals, like you said, that people should be aware of. So for Singapore citizens and Singapore permanent residents, you have to wait to that statutory retirement age in order to take your first penalty-free withdrawal. You don't have to do it in one lump sum. You can actually do it over a course of a 10-year period. Now, for foreigners, they actually have the option after a 10-year holding period from the first SRS contribution to withdraw everything in one lump sum. However, 50% of that will be subject to withholding tax. Now, the flip side is if someone has an emergency or they want to take out money simply just because before the statutory retirement age or before the 10-year holding period, that's when unfortunately, there is a 5% penalty that gets applied, and then the full amount will be added to your assessable income for that year of assessment. So these are just important factors to consider and just remember when starting SRS, but otherwise it's an amazing retirement scheme. It helps you optimize your savings, build your retirement pot, and most importantly, save on tax. So that brings me actually to our next most searched question. How much tax can I potentially save? Maybe you can give us some examples and more insights onto that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a good question. And I think Singapore itself is a very tax-friendly place to invest. Financial instruments typically don't attract any capital gains tax. And of course, as we've just discussed, there are these tax-efficient schemes like the SRS to actually save for retirement. So it's a good tax environment. But in terms of actually how much tax could someone save, I'll use an example. Let's say someone is earning $300,000 a year. And let's say they're a foreigner and they choose to save the most possible within that same year into their SRS. So $35,700.
Yep, okay.
It's quite simple. Their assessable income for income tax purposes just goes down from $300,000 by that amount. So whether they do $1 or the $35,700, that amount will come off. So with the maximum contribution, the assessable income will just be $264,300. In terms of actual dollars of tax saved, in this example, that equates to roughly 18% saved.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's significant. Now don't quote me on the number, it's different for everyone. Of course, everyone earns different amounts of income, but also Singapore has a number of different tax reliefs that can actually be applied. So in case you're worrying this sounds very complicated, it's not. You can actually just go online, iFAST has its website, and they have a number of calculators. Very straightforward, just input your details and you will be able to see actually what's the potential benefit in terms of tax dollars saved that you can make when you make these SRS contributions.
Wow, that's amazing. Definitely something to consider. Now, the next thing, from personal experience, I know that you can actually invest your SRS. It doesn't just have to be sitting in the bank. Maybe you can give some examples of what kind of investments can be accessed with your SRS?
Yeah, sure. I mean, as you said, the first step is to actually open an SRS account with your bank. Now, note in Singapore, that's just DBS, UOB, and OCBC. Once you've got that account open, you can put your $1 or you can put up to your maximum contribution annual limit. And it simply just sits in an SRS bank account. Now, some people leave that there. You still get the tax benefits from your assessable income. But of course, you're only going to receive very nominal, if any, bank interest. So as you say, you can actually invest it. And there are a number of approved and recognized SRS investments that your bank can help you with, or you can use a recognized investment platform. Now, for myself personally, I have a portfolio of unit trusts that I keep in my iFAST account.
Me too.
So the choice is yours. There's a wide range of investments available. The one thing I would say is, of course, if you're investing in unit trusts and you do have a portfolio that you invest into, just make sure you seek professional advice from a licensed financial advisor. It's important you understand exactly what you are actually investing into. Is it right for you? And of course, is it in line with your risk profile, your tolerance for volatility, etc., etc. So IPP has some great strategies in-house. Our model portfolio is what we call Eagle Eye. They're all outperforming the respective risk profile benchmarks since inception. So really quite attractive. Have a look. There should be a QR code on the screen right now. Simply scan it, read through, and hopefully it's some useful information when it comes to investing your SRS. Okay, so that's a bit about how you can invest your SRS monies. I'm curious though, Elena, what happens should I leave Singapore? And what about even if I just lose my Singapore permanent residency status? What happens to my SRS money then?
To be honest, nothing happens. Whether you're a Singapore permanent resident or you're a foreigner, both can participate in SRS. So losing your PR won't affect anything. Now, if someone wanted to leave Singapore, again, doesn't mean they have to close their SRS account or sell off investments. You can keep everything running as usual and wait till the relevant time when you can take penalty-free withdrawals. So all good. That's that. But another very searched question by people is, what happens to the SRS if you pass away? How does that impact my estate? What happens? Maybe you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, when someone passes away, the distribution is simply going to follow whatever's in the last will and testament of that person. Now, if there's no will in place or a will hasn't been written, Singapore actually has a law to actually say who gets distributed the monies. The same applies to SRS. It is actually technically a withdrawal, but before you worry that there's a 5% penalty and it's going to be income taxable again, in 2016 there was actually a up to $400,000 tax exemption put in place for SRS monies. So if someone does pass away or is terminally ill, then at least you know there's that cap. If someone passes away but they've already started taking withdrawals, again, no need to worry, it's simply a prorated amount. The whole point is to make sure that your estate is not at any disadvantage whatsoever, just because you've passed away or are terminally ill.
Thank you, Ian, so much for clarifying this information. Definitely some very important pointers to consider when planning your estate. With this, I hope we've addressed all your questions on SRS. My name is Elena.
My name's Ian.
And we're from IPP Financial Advisors. Thank you so much for having us on your show today.